Good afternoon, and welcome to the 2018 Nokia Mobile World Congress Press and Analyst Conference. It is great to be here. So many familiar faces at a very familiar place. I know you're all about to get hit by a tsunami of information, so I want to be clear about three things that you should remember from Nokia today. First, 5G is happening fast, even faster than we or anyone else expected. Not just with telcos, but with industrial companies as well. Second, no company is better positioned to deliver on 5G than Nokia. And I'll talk about what gives us an advantage. And third, we have momentum not just in 5G, but in many other areas. And I have some actual news to share to prove it. Let me spend some time talking about these topics, and then, for a bit of fun, close with some personal predictions about what lies ahead of us for the year. Last year, we said 5G was coming fast. We understated it. It is coming really fast. Consensus in the market last year was that the first 5G-capable devices would become available in volumes, and 3GPP-compatible networks will be launched in mid-2019. Scratch that. Customer interest has accelerated, and the market has accelerated. Trials with commercial base stations and other network elements based on the official 5G NR standards will start in the second quarter of this year. Nokia will be there. Then commercial 5G networks will launch, maybe as early as the very end of this year, or early 2019. Again, Nokia will be there. It is quite remarkable. Even 8 months ago, many big operators that I talked to shrugged off 5G, basically saying, what's the point? Now they get it, and the race is on. Of course, things will vary by country. It is a neck-and-neck race between the US and China to see who will be first to deploy in a large way. Very hard at this point to say who will be first, but I can say two things with confidence. The first is that the US needs to be more aggressive on spectrum and make at least 100 megahertz available per operator in the mid-bands, particularly in the 3 to 4 gigahertz range, in order to complement the low and high bands that are already available. This should be an urgent priority for policymakers in the US. The second thing I can say is that both China and the US will move fast, and they'll be big, and will be well ahead of pretty much every other part of the world. Then Japan and South Korea, which will also be fast movers. Japan has a clear eye on having leading 5G capabilities ready for the 2020 Olympics. And we are there, working with NTT Docomo. Korea is already moving. In fact, I was in South Korea just a couple of weeks ago, where we worked with Korea Telecom on a trial of 5G, with a focus on immersive experiences at public events, including large sporting events. It was amazing to see it all in action. And it gave a real sense of the possibilities that lie ahead of us. Parts of Europe will move as well, particularly the Nordics. Beyond that, however, I would expect much of Europe to lag the lead countries. It is unfortunate, but even if I am an optimist by nature, I just yet do not see the catalyst for large-scale rollouts of 5G in Europe in the near term. Then a wide range of countries will come, spanning across many regions. The Middle East is just one example, where several countries are chomping at the bit to be fast. Basically, we expect 5G adoption to be more rapid than what we saw in earlier generations of technology across pretty much all countries. One of the drivers of that speed will be demand from industrial companies. I was at Davos a few weeks ago, where I spent time with leaders of some of the world's largest industrial companies, companies like Siemens, ABB, and Volvo. Their excitement was real, as was their belief that 5G could enable their businesses to be faster, more agile, more competitive. they are really starting to create a pull to which operators would be smart to respond. So, with all the interest in 5G, perhaps we need to ask ourselves, why? Why so much interest? The reality is that 5G is not just 4G+. 5G is different. 5G is not just a new version of radio interface. It is a complete redesigning of the network architecture. Whether you look at capacity, at latency, at slicing, at speed, 5G is a massive step beyond where we are today. That performance will open a world of possibilities for consumers, for businesses, for everyone. I know it sounds like hyperbole, but 5G really will change how we live, how we work, and how we play. And Nokia is uniquely positioned to win in 5G. That's a bold statement, I know, but consider 2 points. First, Nokia's end-to-end portfolio is a powerful competitive advantage. Second, our product and service lineup is second to none. Let's start with the power of end-to-end. 5G requires a fundamental end-to-end reinvention across the entire network. Take the issue of network slicing. Sounds kind of simple, but it is extremely complex. And to make it work effectively, you need a network that is very different from those of today. Because most of today's networks are hybrids. Different hardware and different software from many different vendors spanning different domains. All those different things are pretty loosely connected, more than most people probably think. They are typically static configurations with very little intelligence or dynamic management. While you can make that work for slicing, it is incredibly inefficient. So we think there is a better answer, a coordinated, holistic approach across the entire network. While that sounds good, there are very few companies that can deliver on that promise. In fact, you can count them on one hand. Actually, not even that. Considerably less than half of a hand. Which makes sense. You cannot address end-to-end network needs if you're just a mobile company, or just a routing company, or just a fixed company. But Nokia can. We have the scope. We can do true end-to-end. And it makes a big, big difference. Our Nokia Bell Labs, the designers of the 5G Future X network, have done some work to quantify that difference. They looked at the advantages of a single, integrated, end-to-end network solution versus a hybrid, multi-vendor model. And they found that the multi-vendor model was a bad idea. In fact, a really bad idea. Because with a single integrated network solution model, you could get 30 to 40% lower total cost of ownership, 5 to 10% higher reliability, and 8 to 16-month faster time to market for new service introduction. Those are huge opportunities. Opportunities that could very easily run into the billions of dollars, billions of euros. And no operator will be able to ignore the advantages of taking a single integrated approach. And no single company is better positioned to provide that than Nokia. That is a remarkable competitive advantage, and one that will provide massive benefits both to us and our customers. Then point 2, our product and service lineup is second to none. Just 2 examples. The first is our Reef chipset that we announced in the weeks leading up to the show. Check it out. Tiny and amazing. One of a few in the family of Reef chipsets. Something that will be very hard for our competitors to match. Think about it as the mobile network equivalent of our leading FP4 routing chip. And it has variants for both radio and baseband. While others can design their own silicon, it takes time and it takes expertise. So if you get it right, you can deliver superior performing products and grab a sustainable advantage for some time. So, why do we think we have it right with Reef Shark? Several reasons. First, it is extraordinarily powerful, increasing cell site throughput by a factor of 3. Or when you chain the baseband units together, Reef Shark can provide up to a massive 6 terabits per second of throughput. Second, it is extraordinarily smart. Reef Shark has artificial intelligence built in, so it can optimize radio resources and do network slicing with zero touch. Because without that brain power, managing the thousands, millions of network slices that come with 5G, well, you know what? Good luck to you without that. Third, it's extraordinarily efficient. Massive MIMO antenna size and power consumption slashed by half. Baseband power consumption cut by more than 60%. Extraordinary gains. Fourth, it is open, with common interfaces and toolkits in its artificial intelligence engine. That allows customers to implement machine learning and deploy their own algorithms in their networks. Finally, Reef Shark is easy to deploy. To upgrade your baseband, just plug it into our AirScale unit, and off you go. Fast and effective capacity when you need it. Truly powerful. And you should know that we'll start to ship in the third quarter of this year. The second example of how our product and service lineup is second to none, and I just mentioned it, it is AirScale. AirScale is 5G capable, and it's upgradable. Others may claim easy software upgrades, but if their hardware does not have the throughput requirements for 5G, well, there's no software upgrade that will address that problem. Not a challenge that you'll have with AirScale. With AirScale, we have taken an approach of just-in-time delivery of capacity when it is needed. Add a new card, get a massive capacity boost. Add another, get another massive boost within each unit. So as you head off to the next few days of the show, I would encourage you to treat claims of products that can be easily and remotely upgraded to 5G with some skepticism. Theoretically, it might be possible, but without the right hardware, with the right throughput, that software upgrade will not do much for you. All of that said, I know that being well-positioned to win and actually winning are two different things. Luckily, I'm pleased to say that we're moving fast. We're signing deals, so let me share some of them. Starting with Docomo in Japan, who recently signed the first commercial 5G deal in the world with us. And KT in South Korea, who, as I noted earlier, worked with us on their recent public trial. SK Telecom, the other major Korean operator, is getting ready for their 5G launch. They have just announced a collaboration with us where Nokia will provide 5G passive optical networks. Another proof point that our 5G portfolio really covers end-to-end, from access to core to transport. Next, Orange. We are working with them and our partner Cathline on an innovative antenna package that integrates a multi-band passive antenna and 5G massive MIMO into a single unit. So you can have everything from 2G to 5G in the same cell site footprint. Quite impressive, and you can see it at Orange stand. Then, I'm pleased to announce that with Vodafone, we're doing a 5G field trial in the Milan metro area this year. That's right, this year. And in fact, the first installations are in place, and we have already demonstrated high-definition video over 5G. It's a good start for 5G in Europe. Telefonica has started similar 5G city projects in Spain. And we're now working with them to build a 5G network in Segovia. While a few countries may be leading, the acceleration of 5G testing and planning is happening everywhere. Take the Middle East and Africa region. In the last few months, we have signed 5G memos of understanding and are starting 5G trials on our AirScale platform with a host of operators, including STC, Etisalat, Ooredoo, Zain, Du, and Vodacom. Clearly, no one wants to be left behind. And these companies are all leaders in their own right. With Verizon, a true groundbreaker in providing first-class networks, we have lots of activity underway. An example, we worked with them to complete the very first 5G call based on the 3GPP standards, less than 2 months after the standards were announced. T-Mobile, an innovative carrier, is making real strides on its way to 5G. Our strong partnership with them continues to flourish. Together, we brought the first 600 megahertz site on air in Wyoming State, and recently we did T-Mobile's first 5G call on 28 gig band in the busy downtown corridor of Bellevue in Washington State. And breaking news, Mr. Shang Bing, the chairman of China Mobile, and I just signed a memorandum of understanding to explore the use of 5G to drive new business opportunities for vertical industries. When I say just, I really mean it, all of 3 hours ago. So you heard it here first. And a couple more pieces of news, or really just a heads up on some things to watch for later this week. A 5G announcement about a deal with a US operator, and news about our work with Chunghwa Telecom to bring 5G to Taiwan. Lots happening, fast, really fast. So to sum it up, in just the first 2 months of the year so far, we have announced at least 10 customer engagements on 5G. That brings us to a total of more than 50 trials and launches. More than 30 of those involving Reef. And we're just getting started. Of course, well, 5G is very much front and center at the moment. It is not everything. So I'd like to share some news with you on a few other things that we are announcing at the show. First, we are pleased that Marubeni in Japan and Tele2 in Sweden have signed on as early customers of Nokia's Wing, our worldwide IoT network grid. We announced Tele2 on Monday, and for Marubeni, a press release will be going out this week. Now, for those of you who do not know about Wing, it is quite unique. It is an end-to-end, pre-integrated solution for service providers to help them offer IoT services to their enterprise customers. It's delivered as a managed service on a global scale. It's hosted from our own cloud. It's provided on a revenue share model and with recurring revenues for Nokia for each IoT connection. So, to the operators who have enterprise clients scratching their heads on how to connect all their things that are scattered around the world, I have a simple answer. Call Nokia. Now, here's a smart gentleman who did just that. Let me share a quick video from Rami Abadan, Tele2 IoT CEO.
Hi there, Rami Abadan, CEO of Tele2 IoT. We're very happy about the announcement that we've just made with Nokia and of course Nokia Wing. We are going to really revolutionize the IoT world. What we're about to do is to offer enterprises that have global ambition being able to deploy their solutions everywhere and anywhere around the world. Not only are we going to revolutionize the way that we do it technically, but we're also going to be able to be really innovative on how we product package and how we take it to market commercially. We are truly very happy about this true partnership that we have together with Nokia. Hope to see you all at MWC.
Great stuff. You should expect to hear about other deals in the near future. And come by our stand if you want to learn more. Wing is really taking flight. Second news item, this time related to Wi-Fi, the last mile of the end-to-end network. I'm pleased that we've just announced plans to acquire Unium, a US-based software company that produces some very innovative, intelligent mesh wireless technology. And even better, that technology is already being used in the beautiful new Wi-Fi products that we are announcing today, which include Wi-Fi gateways and beacons for the home, a new Wi-Fi portal for service providers, and a mobile application for consumers. Now, getting this right for our service provider customers is a big deal. More than 30% of support requests today are related to poorly performing Wi-Fi. That is a big cost and a real damper for customer experience. We have an answer that opens all kinds of new doors. a gateway to the home that provides new business opportunities and it improves lives. After all, isn't that what we should be about? Better monitoring for the elderly, with continuous health monitoring and security monitoring, with artificial intelligence optimized service delivery for the highest performance everywhere. Not just for today's video services, but streaming AR and VR. Powerful stuff. Essentially, what we are enabling goes well beyond just solving the challenge of dodgy Wi-Fi, as important as that is. It's really about providing our customers and ourselves with a way to open new doors, enable new services, and improve the user experience. Oh, and the devices are really beautiful, reflecting Nokia's pure, alive, and principled design standards. So, take a look. Far better than those nasty black boxes that typically get hidden in a closet. I mean, these beautiful things, they can go anywhere in your home. It's beautiful on the outside and Union's powerful technology inside. Third news item. We put out a press release earlier today about our work with Facebook on their Telegraph initiative. Telegraph, as some of you know, is a 60 gigahertz wireless network that can connect large numbers of access points to a fiber network. Using Nokia's wireless passive optical network to provide a gigabit drop all the way to the home from fiber, we extend the network, essentially creating a giant mesh network with access points mounted on utility poles, streetlights, or building facades. This gives service providers a cheaper, faster way of bringing gigabit service to remote areas or to backfill areas where fiber is not available. So yes, we're going to very high and unlicensed bands like 60 gig. And in fact, we will be joining the millimeter wave group within the telecom infrastructure project to partner with Facebook and other innovators in developing new business models with these frequencies. I can also let you know that we expect to announce a very special project with Vodafone early this week. Watch for it. I promise it'll be out of this world. Really, literally. We've talked about enterprises and web-scale companies getting into the game of building their own networks. But is this really happening? In a word, yes. In fact, these private networks represent one of the fastest growing markets for mobile infrastructure. As proof, you need look no further than our results from 2017. We signed deals with over 100 new customers outside of our typical network operator customers, including everything from major web-scale players like Tencent and Apple to government agencies, utility companies, global financial institutions, heavy industries, just a broad range. And we expect to see further acceleration as these entities race to digitalize and move to the cloud. Earlier this month, our 5G project with the Hamburg Port Authority and Deutsche Telekom got news. The Port of Hamburg will be a valuable test for industrial 5G and network slicing to handle diverse needs, like managing traffic lights, processing data from environmental sensors, and using virtual reality to monitor the port infrastructure. We are just starting to scratch the surface on the ways 5G will transform industries. But it is happening now, and Nokia is uniquely positioned to help these companies. With that, let me leave you with 5 predictions for 2018. Sure, we all know that soon AI will be everywhere, that machine learning is becoming commonplace, that Alexa, Siri, and others will be in every gadget. No surprise there. So let me try a few things that might be a little less obvious. First, social issues related to technology will start to heat up. I do not mean privacy and security, because those topics will always be challenging. I do mean automation and jobs. I do mean smartphones and society. Concerns about job losses from industrial, automotive, and other types of automation will grow as traditional middle-class jobs dwindle. We think that the aggregate productivity benefits will be massive, an absolute net positive for society, but the risks of income disparity and a popular backlash will grow. Policymakers will have to start to take on this topic, and they'll have to look at radical long-term solutions like a universal income. And worries will rise about smartphones and their impact on real interaction. And people will think more about how often they look at the devices that they carry. And that leads me to my second prediction, which is that new form factors will start to emerge that will question the dominance of the smartphone and reduce the human impact of constantly disconnecting with those around us to connect with our devices. We've assumed that the smartphone is the optimal device for meeting the needs of our connected lives. What if that assumption is wrong? I think it's entirely possible that a whole range of new devices begin to appear that make us start to question whether there are better answers. At Nokia Bell Labs, for example, we have been testing an unobtrusive sleeve that has advanced medical sensors, a flexible screen, and feedback to the user via haptics and audio cues to a miniature earbud. I'm sure others are looking for better answers as well, and that there is some exciting innovation still to come. Third prediction, virtual reality will start to creep back. Despite all the hype, the big bang of virtual reality never really happened. Goofy headsets sure didn't help its adoption. We are going to see the quiet re-emergence of VR begin in 2018, the start of a longer journey. And not with a lot of flash. Augmented reality on smartphones and tablets will lead the way. It will come so gradually that at some point we will wake up and notice that it is everywhere. And it will drive a lot of traffic on the network. Again, not an immediate spike, but an ongoing, gradual ramp-up. It will also create opportunities for Nokia as others look to license some of our VR technology. Fourth prediction, more and more traffic in the backbone of the internet will be on the networks of web-scale companies. The Apples, Googles, Alibabas, Tencents, and others of the world. This is already underway and will only accelerate in the coming years. The global mobile data traffic is expected to grow by 7 times between 2016 and 2021. That's pretty massive. But the growth in data center to data center traffic is going to outstrip that in a huge way, with growth somewhere in the range of 5 times faster than that of mobile data. What is happening is that traffic is moving off service provider networks and nearer to the end user. And it is then moving on to the big backbone networks of the web scale players. And this is a fundamental change. And it will mean that new players will need to invest in their networks to keep pace with demand. My final prediction, healthcare will start to finally see some massive, start to see lower costs, improved patient experience, and more lives saved. The Economist reported recently that many of the 250,000 deaths in America attributed to medical care can be traced to poor coordination. When I read that, I thought, like, you've got to be kidding. In a world where we have such powerful technology at our disposal, people die because providers and systems do not talk to each other. That's just crazy. And it leads to the second thing that will drive disruption, and that is sheer frustration. When you see companies like Amazon, Berkshire Hathaway, and JP Morgan Chase say enough is enough, we can do better, you know that change is coming. When you see countries like Sweden pushing to give all citizens electronic access to medical records, or Estonia, where 95% of digital health data is already digitized, and where every person who's been to a doctor has an online e-health record, you know that change is coming. So things will come in fits and starts as some experiments work out and others do not, as tensions between access and privacy get worked through. But 2018 will be the year when we start the slow fix of global healthcare dysfunction. Oh, and one more prediction. Back in 1789, Benjamin Franklin said, "Nothing in this world is certain but death and taxes." He forgot one thing, Mobile World Congress. I'm highly confident in making the prediction that when this time rolls around next year, many in this room will be here again. And I look forward to that, just as I look forward to seeing many of you over the coming week. Thank you.